How's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to Daily Endeavours for Saturday the 16th of August. I'm Jackson. As always, if you are looking to fast forward to one option in particular, when I talk about that, I've got time codes in the description if you just want to fast forward. But before we start, I just need to warn everybody that there is going to be a maintenance. For PC, it's going to be the 18th of August, Monday. For console, it's going to be 20th of August on Wednesday. So here are the times if you need them. I will link this in the description. This is it's like a service status website made by Woella. If you don't know who this guy is, I think he was a tank main for it was like a big guild early on in ESO's lifetime. I believe he tanked for, was it Hodor? Yeah, it's a long time ago and I can't remember much, but yeah, really good tank player back in the day. Yeah, he made a lot of stuff. The Reddit post for like sets of the day, he also helped make that stuff too. I don't know if it was just him. I think he's got like a team that he helped make this stuff with. Yeah, just a little interesting nugget of info there. So yeah, I'll make sure this is in the description if you want to know. But yeah, 8 hours for PC, 6 hours for console. Yeah. Alright, on to Endeavours then. So it's 15 seal set. This set is pretty annoying. I'm not a big fan of it. If you have Thieves Guild, it's okay. If you don't, yeah, both these options kind of suck. So if I were to choose, if you have Thieves Guild, Heists, Amorphous Foes, and Scribed Skills. If you don't, I personally would just do Amorphous and Scribed Skills and just leave it. So let's talk first about Amorphous Foes. There's two types. Netches are going to be your base game solution. There's a couple of good places you can find them. This is Stonefalls, for example. This is the main location I think you should use for Netches. So this location northwest of the Wayshrine in Devon's Watch, you own this Wayshrine by default. Every character does, so it's very easy to actually reach this. The only issue is there's about 6 or 8 Netches here. You can find some just here usually, in this spot right here. And then there's a bunch up here higher on the hill. So the issue is that there's no easy to reach instance locations, which means that everybody else is going to be gunning for the same ones, and if they kill them, you've got to wait for this stuff to respawn. So unfortunate issue with anything overland related. One of the most populated areas for Netches in the game is just to the west of the Sulphur Pools, Wayshrine, and Stonefalls. It's more towards the center of the map. This area has approximately, I'd say, 10 to 15. And they're scattered in groups of 1 or 2 all over the hills around here. So you've got one over there, Betty Netch. You can also find more groups to the northeast of that Wayshrine, over here. There's also quite a couple. So this is a Bull Netch. So these are a little stronger than the regular Betty Netches. You'll find them less, but they're another good source. They are tougher, but they're not that much stronger. They do a couple of extra attacks and stuff, and they just take a lot longer to kill usually. That's all. In Vardenfell, there's a couple of areas. For example, Ushilaku camp here. There's a couple of Netches here. There's a couple of Netches near the Daedric Trickery set location over here. There's a couple in Chuleftinth, and the World Boss Brahma's Grove is a Netch, and it has 2 little Netch calflings next to it, and there's a couple more Netches just in the hillside over here too. For instanced Netches, my only choice here, or my only recommendation, is Darkshade Caverns 2. You can find a shit ton of Netches on the second main boss, Grobel the Transmuted. It'd be the... Because there's the Transmuted... Yeah, that's right. Because there's a Transmuted Hive Lord, which is the first boss. That's the only issue I have with this one. You have to get through the first main boss in order to get there, and that boss is a pain in the ass to do solo. But if you're able to do it, you can do it. It's kind of annoying. You just have to make sure you block the attacks that the 2 side bosses do, or like the minions, because they stun you and knock you on your ass and shit. It's really annoying. But the Netch is the second boss, Scribed the Transmuted. That boss spawns a fucking army of Netches, hundreds of them. So you will not have any issues getting Amorphous folks using that strategy. Your other choice for Amorphous foes is Voriplasm type enemies. Again, there's a couple of areas here, not many. So, it depends mostly on the DLCs that you own. The Blackwood DLC, there are a couple over here. This boss here, Zeemhawk, he spawns them at certain percentages of his max health. So if he loses enough, he'll spawn 2 of them. What these Voriplasms do is they move to these skeletons here and spawn them as Voriplasm corpses. And this means just from this boss you can do this easily. What you do is what I recommend is you let him spawn them, let them corrupt or like make 2 of the like Voriplasm corpses, kill one of the Voriplasms, then kill the 2 other corpses, and then kill the last Voriplasm. And then just, yeah, that's basically it. Because he'll spawn, they'll just spawn them over time. And as long as you don't kill the Voriplasms themselves, they'll just spawn Voriplasm corpses. And yeah, those all count as Amorphous foes. Zeemhawk himself, he's not important, just the other Voriplasms. It's just that while Zeemhawk himself isn't too bad, the Voriplasm corpses are quite tough. So don't let them overrun you, is the main thing I'm trying to tell you. So you've got a couple just south here. There's not really many outside of these that I know of in this location. Silent Halls has a couple of Voriplasms, not many. If you would like to get here for the first time, because there's no wayshrines here that are unlocked by default, there's a house here called Willow Pond Haven. What you can do is go to Home Tours, browse homes, go down all the way to the bottom. Just be careful with the scroll bar. If you take your mouse outside, it bloody removes it. It's really annoying. Yeah, just go down to Willow Pond Haven, travel to one of these. It doesn't matter which one. It's free. You go into the house, you go out the front door, and then you rock up right here in Blackwood. So you just go up this hill here, and you can get the Wayshrine easy, and then from that point, you're good to go. You've also got in North and Elsewhere the Orcrest public dungeon. The group event found here. Easiest access here is to go to this location. There's a trapdoor. It goes past some 6 skeevers. And then there's about 8 or 10 Voriplasms that hang around the balcony. And then Nordagloot the Clog is also a group event that is a Voriplasm. This guy here, if you kill him, you also get a skill point, which is nice. Alright, next up, defeating enemies with Scribe skills. The Scribed ability must be the thing that takes the enemy from 1 to 0 HP, so it's best if you avoid as many other skills as you can. So my advice here is either kill critters, because they have 1 HP, so all you need is 1 skill, or gather up a lot of small enemies quickly and AoE them down with a Scribe skill that does AoE damage. Let me go through some options. Alright, so firstly, let's just go through the skills. There's 4 that I absolutely recommend that you get. If you want to do the AoE route. If you just want to kill critters, all you need is Wield Soul. This is the first skill that you ever get. Completing the second era of scribing unlocks the Magicka version of this. If you want the physical version, you do need to go through a little bit more quests in order to unlock that. The reason I say that is it changes the cost, so if you want to spam it more, and you're a stamina build, you'll need this version. But if you just want this skill, you'll have Magical Soul straight off the bat. So we'll go, it doesn't matter what you use here, I'd probably use Druids for more sustain, and then, yeah, whatever you get here doesn't really matter either. So this is what I'd personally use here. Just scroll that one together. As for the AoE skills, Soul Burst is the skill that you get for completing the whole questline. It takes a few hours, so if you haven't done any quests for scribing yet, and you want to do this one, I'd say just do the critters, because this takes some time doing. Now, again, you'll have magic by default. You can also use other things like shock, and yeah, you can either get some healing or you can get Lingering Torment. Lingering Torment, if this kills the target, it does actually count for the endeavor, so you can use Lingering Torment and not have to worry. Things like Assassin's Misery, applying status effects, that doesn't count. So you need to be careful which ones you use here. Just if you're not sure, just make sure you use Lingering Torment. And then, yeah, we can just get Breach or whatever. Doesn't matter too much here. Trample is also really good. I like to use this one at the start because it's a cast time, which is annoying for me because if you get stunned or like knocked back or anything like that while you're casting it, it cancels and then you can't cast it for a bit. So that's why I say cast it for like once at the start of the fight. Use Mangle if you can get access to it. Off balance, vulnerability, any of these is just fine. And yeah, the other stuff doesn't really matter too much. But I like Warrior's Opportunity if you can get access to that, because it increases the damage everything takes, which is really good. So yeah, I just go Magic, Warrior's Opportunity, either Vulnerability or Mangle I like to use. And the last one is Contingent. Is it Contingency? Am I getting this right? Yeah, All-Skills Contingency, the Mage's Guild option. You need to be Mage's Guild level 5 to get this. You either need to do Mage's Guild guild daily quests, guild dailies. Bloody the other day, I forgot about that. Or you can read the law book in zones. There's heaps of stuff about it doing that quick. But yeah, this one's good too because what it does is you cast this and then you can cast another skill and it like applies both at the same time. And Ulsil's also has vulnerability. It's got Savagery Prophecy, all sorts of buffs that can help you as well, like Breach as well. So use Vulnerability and Breach and Force if you can get access to that too. Force is really good. So yeah, here I'll just use... oh yeah, I don't even have it. I don't think I'm level 5 in Mage's Guild, am I? No, I can't use it anyway. The reason I don't like many of the other skills is, as I said, they're cast skills. I don't like skills with cast times because they... Like I said, if you get attacked like with a crowd control skill while you're casting it, it just doesn't cast. So it means that like you might just get like wrecked if you're trying to cast it and get interrupted there. Traveling Knife is the only exception to the rule. It doesn't have a cast time. You can get multi-target, which costs... It's a stamina costing skill, so it's only really good on stamina builds, but this it has no target limit, unlike the rest of Traveling Knife. So this one on stamina builds is also fucking awesome. So if you want an alternative to Soul Burst, if you haven't done the main questline yet, Traveling Knife with multi-target is amazing. But multi-target you need to do Mage's Guild dailies anyway for, so yeah. Killing enemies with critters. I'm just going to use Magical Soul here and just kill a bunch of these here. So they all have 1 HP, so it doesn't not matter how tough you are. Killing all these things is just very simple. The only problem is, in most cases, unless you've completed the whole Scribing questline and you've got the 3 wings to get access to, these are instants, so no other people can actually take these critters. So this is kind of good. So my advice is come to the wing of the Indrik, wing of the Netch, and the wing of the Griffin. These areas will have critters. You'll look over them and they'll have 1 HP. I think Torchbugs, you can't attack them. But things like deer and the rabbits and the frogs here, you can attack these with Magical Soul and get it done that way. And if you don't have access to this, there are other options in Overland. So Monkey's Rest, northwest of Vocal Guard. This one's easy to get to because you have this way shrine by default. So what you do is you just come up the road here, get this way shrine, you got easy access to this one. There's about 20 monkeys in this location, and if you kill them all, they spawn relatively quickly after a few minutes. Stonefalls has another good location. Davon's Watch, right here, next to the stables. There's a bunch of little itsy bitsy spiders that you can attack with Magical Soul too. Another good location is Divad's Chagrin, this way shrine here. This oasis has tons of goats that you can kill. And again, they respawn relatively quickly. The only thing is, this location here seems to be the most used location for like doing this endeavor, or any endeavor where you can just like kill livestock or do stuff with a single, like do any kills with X abilities. They tend to do that. Same thing with Monkey's Rest, but not as much as. And it also depends on the time of day. If you do this at prime time, it's probably going to be really hard to get anything done there. That's why I recommend using At least completing the wings or getting access to them at least, because then you can use these. Because everyone has about 10 or 8 critters. Outside of critters, if you want to kill lots of actual enemies with scribe skills quickly, you need an AoE skill. Otherwise, just killing one target at a time just takes ages. So my advice is just make sure you have something like Soul Burst, or any AoE skill. I forgot to mention Elemental Explosion is good. Like, the AoE is huge, but because it's a cast time, I don't like to use it. But yeah, it also has access to Brittle. This is honestly one of the best abilities, or best buffs, because yeah, extra crit damage taken is crazy, and the AoE is so big, so you can use that kind of like Trample, where you can use it at the start and apply a big debuff to everything. So I'm just going to use Trample and Soul Burst to just kill as many of these things as I can. So this is where Wrestlers 1, found in Stormhaven. Easy access here is through Garden House and Home Tours. But yeah, this area here, it's instant, so nobody else can come in here and kill this stuff unless you kill it yourself, or you're in a group where somebody else is here, and in that case you don't need, like, you can choose to do that or not. But there will be 20 skeevers in this room, 21 to be precise, and then in this room there's another 10 enemies here, 10 enemies here, so that's a total of 40. So you can get this done in this area alone. It's just, it depends, how easy it's going to be is dependent on how many scribe skills you've got. If you've only got one, it's a bit painful. You just got to make sure you have some heals, because there is not a lot of healing going on with these scribe skills. You can put something like Sage's Remedy on them, but if you just use Sage's Remedy on one, it's 500 health every second. It's not going to keep you alive for all the damage that the enemies do. But if you've got like 4 skills and you cast all of them with Sage's Remedy, that's like 2k over every second. That's a lot. But yeah, that's a lot of work. That's all I'm saying. So what I'm going to do is just group all these skeevers together. I'm going to hit them all with Trample and then blast them away with Soul. Or Burst, I should say. So some of the skeevers won't automatically aggro with the rest of the group. It's just the weird nature of the enemies in here. I think if you group up too many at once, it doesn't let you. So Trample to start. And then I'm going to burst them like this. Just be careful of letting all of them hit you at once, because yeah, you'll get... They are skeevers, but it's 20 skeevers. It's still a lot of damage. Now these enemies in here, they're stronger than the skeevers, but there's less of them. So these together, and then I cast Trample straight through the range and the melee enemies together. Guys, keep healing yourself, because yeah, you will take a lot of damage here. Especially with the range enemies. Yeah, I'm just gonna spam burst until they die. That's basically it. And there you go. So you do the same thing with the enemies down there. You've got a small group of skeevers over here too that are very weak. And that will be enough for 40 enemies. But you just, yeah, as I said, just make sure you keep healing yourself. Now you can do this with public dungeons too. That would be easier and quicker, because the groups of enemies are weaker. So, with Soul Burst, you can just do that easier in things like Bone Stamp Ruins, for example, as a public dungeon. It's just that these are overland. So same thing with the Netches. If other players just come in here and start killing everything, you're going to have to wait for stuff to respawn. So it can be very inconvenient for you if you rock up when other people are there. It's just right place at the wrong time. Okay, it's time to talk about towns. So a campaign in Cyrodiil has 3 towns. You've got one in the north, one in the north, Bruma, one in the southeast, Cropsford, and one in the southwest, Lastris. So as far as the campaign goes, towns are actually quite valuable. You can use them as respawning points. So say you want to get to something like Castle Alessia, or say like Alicewell. If your faction owns Dragonclaw and Bruma, you could travel to Bruma and travel directly to Alicewell that way. The problem is, as an endeavor, this can be fucking unreliable. Taking the town itself is pretty easy. It's just like, it's basically 3 resource flags for a keep. You've got this flag here with a couple of guards on it. You got the outlier flag over here with a couple of guards on it. And then over here, you got the merchant flag, which also has a couple of guards on it. So in order to take a town, you kill the guards. If you can handle like a normal dungeon, you can pretty much beat the guards. It's not the easiest thing in the world. These guards are actually quite tough, especially if you're doing this in a no CP campaign like Ravenwatch, because the guards are actually relatively tough. But just make sure you have a couple of heals. If you have like a normal, typical PvP build, something like Order's Wrath and Rallying Cry, this won't be too difficult. Like you just need to have a couple of heals and some good bursts, and you'll kill these guys. Town flags are really easy to take, but the issue is, if I look at this campaign, on this account, I've only got Ordinary characters. I've only got one max level, and they're Ordinary. So you look at this map, Ordinary already owns all the towns, so even if I wanted to take these, I couldn't. And then you have to look at this as Daggerfall. You're actually in a pretty good spot. You can use this keep over here to go and take Bruma, because it's not actually connected to anything. So unless people die nearby, they can't actually respawn here or travel here. On the other hand, imagine if you only got Ebonheart Pact characters. The gates are the only place you can spawn. So imagine going all the way just to get to these towns here. That is a long road to go just to reach these towns to try and do them. And then say you get unlucky, a player sees that the town is under attack. As soon as you start taking one flag, cops would light up on the map as staying under attack. So people might investigate. They might go from Drakelow to check, especially if there's nothing going on in the campaign, but there's still players looking around. The players might come here. If you're not good at PvP, they'll come and just kill you. And then guess what? You respawn all the way back at the gates, and you have to spend all that time again trying to get all the way back to the town. So yes, these can sometimes be relatively straightforward, but they can also be an absolute nightmare. Like Ebonheart right now, I wouldn't even bother doing this, just because it's a lot of effort just for the potential for someone else just to completely fail, like make you fail this. If you do want to do this, my advice is pick a campaign that's more busy. Alliance Locked is usually the one with the most action. See if, or like ask in zone if anyone wants to take a town for the Endeavor, because the more players you have, the easier this will be. The faster flags take with more players, and safety in numbers. If there's another player that comes after you, if there's a couple of players, usually it, for the average player, it might be too much for them to handle. I mean, obviously, if everyone's like PvE builds, it's a different story. But if you've got a couple of PvPers, that's all you really need. Unless like a ball route comes through, and that's a different story. Basically, that's the only way I would do it. Like, find the closest town, preferably like one next to one of your keeps. If it's like this, I wouldn't even bother. I'd just go to a different campaign. And yeah, just try and do it that way. But I personally believe that town endeavors are one of the worst in the game, just because of how unreliable and just how one-sided they can be at times. Yeah, I usually just skip this one, even if the amount of seals it gave was like higher. Because in that case, people see that and know that people are going to be trying to do this, and usually there's like a community of PvPers that just like deliberately try and hunt down people just trying to do shit like this. Only a few, but that is the thing I've seen. Based on the fucking White Streaks event and the gankers that just sit around in the towns waiting for people to try and do the quests for the dailies and shit like that. So say that you do take a town. In order to get out of here, the town has a bit of a different system. They've got outposts. So this is the town's outpost. You can't actually take this, but this is where you go in order to get out of here. So the Transitor Shrine is actually on this building here. So once you take the town, you can go to the Transitor Shrine and use this. Then you can travel to the gates and get out of Cyrodiil. Or, you can travel to Keys. Now, if you are in Cyrodiil, and then you take the town and, you manage to get away, but or you go somewhere else and then the town gets taken and you can't travel back here to travel away, and you're just stuck in the middle of nowhere and you don't know how to get out, there is actually also another easy way. So go to Imperial City, right-click Enter Campaign. This will take you to a safe zone in Imperial City, and you can go straight back to the Overland using this method. So when you go through the load screen, just turn around, look for the tunnel. This one here, with the doorway. Just enter this door, and this will take you back to Overland. Alright. Consumables Master Writ. So there are 3 types of Master Writs you can use for this. Enchanting, Provisioning, and Alchemy. My advice is Enchanting if you can, because I find those Master Writs to be the cheapest, because you need like one of each rune and they're usually pretty cheap. The only exception to that is the prismatic ones. Don't do the prismatic ones because they require Hekejo and those are fucking expensive. But it depends, because you need to have a max level craft in order to do Master Writs. You have to be level 50, there's no other way. So in guild stores, if you don't have any Master Writs, you get these from regular crafting writs. So, and it's only a small chance. You won't get many, even if you do them every day. So if you want to find these on like being sold on stores, you go to Consumables, Master Writ, and then what I would suggest that you do is type in, like if you're looking for a certain one, just go Enk to get enchanting ones. You can go Alk for alchemy ones, and then just for provisioning. Now, provisioning. Anything that is 40 Writ vouchers, my advice is don't do this, because it requires you to have a perfect row. Perfect row are very expensive and very rare for you to get your hands on. You have to fillet fish for ages, basically. Everything else, there's none. Yeah, they're all fucking perfect row. God damn it. Hold on, let me try and find some normal bloody provisioning writs. So, nope. No, none of these. Capon Tomato Beet Casserole, for example. So these are really good because they're usually pretty cheap. That's the thing. No matter how you do this, you're going to have to spend quite a lot of gold, most likely, getting some provisioning writs. But yeah, these are usually not too bad. The resources required to make them is quite cheap, but the issue is that you need the recipes themselves, and they also cost gold if you don't have them in your inventory. On the other hand, alchemy and enchanting, you don't need any recipes unlocked to do these. These ones here you can actually just do straight away, because any combination will work. You don't need recipes for them. So alchemy ones, they're good most of the time. This one, for example, is pretty good, but you just got to be careful with ones that require Columbine. Or Mudcrab Chitin is pretty expensive. Yeah, there you go. There's a Columbine one, if you can help it. And then enchanting is just good, because almost all enchanting materials are cheap. But like I said, prismatic, bad. Don't get anything that's prismatic. That'd be a pretty good one right there, but it's still like 10 grand. The Master Writs are really quick to do, but it's very expensive. So if you want something quick, that's what you want. So the NPC to hand your Master Writ in to is Roller Solalo right here. I prefer the one in Deshan, because the stations are out in the open, whereas in some of the other places, either Rollis is further away, or in Grotwood, the services are in an area where you can't mount, so I just find it slower. But if you just want to hand it straight in from like a guild hall, Snugpod to Rollis here is good, and also Flaming Nix Deluxe Grey to Rollis down here is really good too, because this is much cheaper than Snugpod. But yeah, whichever one works for you. If you don't have the add-on already, my advice is to get WritWorthy. This will help out with Master Writs, because you can get a window if you just type in /WritWorthy when you've got the add-on. All your Master Writs that you've got in your inventory will be listed here. You can queue them up with a little tick icon here, and it'll automate everything for you. Obviously, it'll just be one. I believe if you have... there's other add-ons that will automatically do them. I don't know if it's Daily Alchemy and Provisioning or Lazy Writ Creator. I think it's one of these ones here. But yeah, I'm pretty sure these also do it for you too. That'll maybe Craft Store. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Writ Creator. But yeah, if someone could help me there, I don't know for sure. I've just got too many add-ons these days to know. Okay, last up, we've got a heist. So these are Thieves Guild instance challenges, where you basically just got to steal from a bunch of locked chests. There's like extra challenges for getting it done in a certain amount of time, and like if you get spotted, the timer gets reduced. But if you just want to complete the heist for the Endeavor, you don't need to worry about that. You can completely ruin this in every possible way. Everything goes wrong, and you'll still complete the Endeavor. And honestly, it's probably quicker doing that anyway, because normally you have to deal with some NPCs that are able to see you through stealth and all sorts of shit. So I prefer just Ramboing through the whole thing myself. You can get lucky and just complete it anyway, though, by doing that, without... If you're quick enough that you just have enough time, basically. So, in order to get access to these, you need to get up to the long game, the third quest within the Hughesbane Zone story. After that, there's a little quest you got to do to find this guy here, right next to me. Once you do that, you'll have heists as a option. You can do one a day, though I think you can share these, though, if you want to do multiple. Not that I personally would. Alright, so once you collect the quest, you just have to talk to him. Tell him I'm ready, and it'll take you to this instance area. So there's just enemies here. Unlike Black Sacraments, there's no civilians, so you have no issues getting a bounty here, which makes this my personal choice over Black Sacraments whenever the Guild Daily Endeavors show up. So once you enter this door, the timer starts. You'll see it at the top right up here. And through these quests, you have to open these boxes here. So I'll just try and force the lock on this one. If you have really, really high legerdemain, this will be easier because of a passive in the legerdemain skill line, locksmith here, increases the chance that you can force locks. So here's the reduced timer issue. If enemies see you in here, even if you kill them as they spot you, it still happens. So if I go find someone to use vampirism on, I'll show you later, because the enemies that can see you through stealth, they are, if you like kill them through vampirism or Blade of Woe, it'll still say they've spotted you and reduce the timer. It's fucking bullshit. Yeah, that's your main issue. So for example, yeah, so even though nobody saw me do that, it still says I have less time because I got spotted. It's fucking stupid. That's why I don't bother trying to like do this properly. I just fucking Rambo through it. So your biggest threat in this entire place will be the tripwires. They do far more damage than anything else because they basically do 50% of your max health as oblivion damage. It's pretty insane. Oh yeah, I'll get another point there. Okay, here we go. So yeah, really max out your legerdemain as much as you can and bring a shit ton of lockpicks in here, and that'll make your job easier. Can't see any of the people that spot me through stealth though. You'll know if they are here when you get when there's like a blue ring around them. But yeah, I can't see them here. Oops. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Normally they're fucking everywhere. Okay, one of the issues of vampirism, sometimes you just get spotted for no reason. Okay, so yeah, there's the failed timer thing. Oh, okay, that's why. These things here also spot you. That might be why there's no people who can see you through stealth. Yeah, you can very quickly do that. Just that if you get spotted as you go through a bunch of times, yeah, you won't get the secondary objective. It's much easier to do the secondary objective in the Heist, though, than it is to do in the Black Sacraments. They are so much more complicated. Alright, for Endai, he'll be like, not everything went to plan, don't worry about it, just exit. And then once you get back to the Thieves Guild, you're just going to hand that sucker in, and that's it. So the satchel that you get, it just mainly gives you some 40 gold sellable items, maybe something better. You can get motifs in them sometimes. You can also get Savara's Scales or Baraha's Curse set items. Now, apparently Savara's Scales has some, like, weird stuff. Or, like, not weird, just, like, niche applications in PvP where it can be very strong. Other than that, I don't think either of the sets I use much anymore. That being said, Baraha does... Oh, no, sorry, not Baraha. Does Baraha actually have anything? Oh, it does. Okay, never mind. So at 4 pieces, Baraha's gives you reduced damage from traps. Honestly, in Heist, that's like your biggest threat. So that's not terrible. And I think Savara's does the same thing, doesn't it? Oh, it reduces damage taken from guards. Not that useful, the 4-piece, because guards will insta-kill you at some point anyway. But yeah, the 5 piece is apparently quite strong PvP. That's all I've heard, though. I'm not the PvP guy. If you want to make things easier for yourself when you do heists, either running a Nightblade with Cloak or a Stage 4 Vampire, all maxed out with the skill line using Unnatural Movement, because that's what I was doing there. I was sprinting with Unnatural Movement, it would give me invisibility. The only thing is, when there are the Sentry NPCs, they can see through that invisibility. Cloak or not, or Cloak or Vampirism, doesn't matter, they'll see through all that shit. So that's the biggest problem you have, and the reason I don't bother trying to get the best rewards through that, because sometimes you're waiting ages for them to fucking move, and I'd rather just spend less time doing the heist instead, just to get the 15 seals quicker, because that's what you're doing this for, right? You could do it multiple times on many other characters if you really want to make sure you get the best rewards, right? So yeah. Alright, so now we go through the Golden Vendor. There is a lot of stuff this weekend. I think this is them trying to make up for the Vengeance campaign and the White Streaks event, like removing or not providing any monster sets for that time. But yeah, I don't know. There's 4 very new, very good... Is there 5? How many is there? 1, 2, 3, 4... Yeah, 4, okay. All new, all pretty damn good. I think Roxa is one of the sets that is used very frequently right now in PvP, because it gives you tons of regen, which is pretty good right now, especially with Vampirism not being as valuable. So Roxa the Warped, really good. Yeah, just the longer combat goes, the more regen you get, and you end up getting a ton. Now, if you don't want this, there is also the, like, using 2 pieces of, like, 2 different monster sets with 2 pieces of regen. That's actually what I use. I use Magma Incarnate, and then right now I don't have it on this character, but there's also Baron Thirsk. So you can run one of these, 1 piece on the shoulder of the head, and then the other one in the other slot, and that gives you 2 lots of Magicka and Stamina recovery. It's not as good after getting to the maximum, like, level of regen with Roxa, but yeah, they're both pretty similar. Yeah, Roxa's really, really good. This is from... Is it Grivener's Hole or Balsanar this comes from? Yeah, Balsanar. So this is a very new DLC that's come out a couple of years, I think, ago, with Scribes of Mora. And Thelmir, this was up last weekend, I believe, and I talked about this in more detail then. But yeah, it's really good with heavy attack builds, and yeah, just solid. I think it's only solid for them, like, unless you can be constantly heavy attacking, in which case that's not really what you want to do with normal builds. You want to avoid that as much as possible. I also want to point out there is apparently a bug with heavy attacks on dual wield. Apparently they're doing a lot less damage than they're supposed to be. I read about it on the forums recently, and I've realized that, yeah, I've noticed that too. So yeah, Anthelm is good though. Good on heavy attack builds, not really great on much else. Maybe also good for ganking too. Yeah, especially since it also takes off armor, that's really good. Yeah, other than that, wouldn't really use it much, because it's also, you got to deal with the fucking Draven picking up your axe mechanic. That can be annoying. Yeah, because if it drops in like an AoE in a trial, like a difficult trial, and you going into that AoE means death, yeah, not very ideal. Ozazan, this is sort of like Spell Power Cure, but it's like a defensive version, and it like splits 2 different buffs. So you get armor and you get vitality, but it's like a very, very short amount of time. I would personally not worry about this. Minor vitality is a pretty common buff from other sources, and relying on a bit of armor like that is not really worth it, I think. Relying more on your ability to stay out of AoEs and shit, I think is going to be more beneficial in most cases. Yeah, I think good for ball groups. Yeah, I'm not sure where else you'd use this. Roxa, I've already spoken about that. And then Blind. So this is basically... it's similar to Iceheart, where instead of damage, it's critical healing. And it applies to other people and you. Also gives them Mana Force, which is pretty good. That 1 Mana Force is pretty easy to get for damage dealers in most cases. And then tanks and healers don't really want mana force because it increases crit damage, not crit healing. But the shield can be good for like no death runs for trials and stuff like that. But yeah, very not very significant for as much as the shield gives, but it's very frequent. So yeah, this one's pretty good too, but not something I would really worry a lot about. None of these sets I think are going to be really needed in most cases. Just this one here, and maybe Uzazan if you like do hardcore PvP stuff, it's probably good. But yeah, other than that, maybe aside from like heavy attack builds, yeah, wouldn't really worry about any of these. Now there's a lot of jewelry to go through. Flame Blossom, this was up last week. I talked more about that, but I'll just try and summarize it. Really good. Basically, the bigger the target is, the better this thing is, and it does fuck tons of damage per second if you can fight like big trial bosses and shit like that. Also good for ganking as well, if you can like stun the target while it's coming out, and has a weird interaction with Elfbane, which can kind of cause it to apply more times than it's supposed to. I don't know if that's still the thing, but yeah, those are the interesting things about Flame Blossom. This comes from. It's one of the Horns of the Reach DLC dungeons, so Blossom. I think Bloodroot, yeah. So I wouldn't buy this from here unless you're like in a specific situation where you are going to farm the rest of the set when ESO Plus comes up next time. Or if you've done that recently and you just want the jury now, that's something you could do. But either buy the DLC and do it and just not worry about this, or you just don't get this at all, because you'll only have 3 pieces and you want 5 pieces, and you can only do that by doing the rest, like actually doing the dungeon at some point. Yeah, in that case I just wouldn't buy this. Alright, next up is Hagravens. This is also from Bloodroot, just like Flame Blossom. I'm not a big fan of this. One, it procs under a condition where you basically have to not be doing well for it to work. It also has a pretty long cooldown. It's got, what's that, like a 20 or 30% uptime, which is okay. But yeah, I don't see this being super good, because yeah, you have to go to half health, and you also just 8 meters is not a lot of area as well. It's like probably, I'd say it's about there to these posts here. So that's, I mean, it's decent. It's enough for like a decent stack. But yeah, the proc condition and the just like the cooldown, yeah, I wouldn't really worry about this too much, especially since there's other ways to get major protection. Like you can slot a skill to get major protection in the support skill line. Revealing Flare, this just gives it to you at all times. Like I don't understand why you'd want a set when you could just slot a skill. That being said, it is support, and it's like the last skill, so it's a pain in the ass to get, but it will probably take you less time getting this skill than doing the dungeon for fucking ages. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's other ways of getting major protection which I think are better anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't really suggest this set, just because of the conditions. Alright, Heimjas. So, this set, it's okay. Major Berserk is a good buff, and there doesn't seem to be a long cooldown. Like, I can't see a cooldown here, so just a duration for Major Berserk. So, if you, say you do Dolmens, you'll get this buff, like, the whole time. Basically, as soon as you've killed one of the Worm Cultists at the start, basically you've got the buff up infinitely. That being said, there are lots of different good sources of Major Berserk. Kinra's Wrath, as an example. So Kinra's not only gives you Major Berserk, it also gives you your teammates Minor Berserk, which is also a good buff. That being said, you'll probably get this usually from Combat Prayer, so Kinra's kind of loses a bit of its value. But there are other things. Sea Serpent's Coil. This is a mythic, so it's one piece, and it gives you Major Berserk and Major Courage. The only thing is it reduces your movement speed, but if you use this like if you coordinate this correctly, you can use this to like get the buff and do a lot of damage still. So that's one thing. There's also, I believe Nightblades just get this from a skill, don't they? Isn't it Mark Target gives you this? Yeah, Major Berserk for 7 seconds after a kill. So you can slot a skill, not waste a whole 5-piece for it. Werewolves, I believe, also get it from a skill. I think if I go to subclassing, I think Sorcerer's one of the morphs of Greatest Stormatch Narc. Yeah, this also gives it to your team. So why waste a whole 5-piece when you can just get a Sorcerer, either that or like subclass to get a Greater Stormatch Narc, and then like a whole bunch of people can just get this buff. It just, yeah, it makes no sense to me. But yeah, like just for simple stuff, it's okay. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. Mad Tinkerer. I like this, except for the stun. That's the only thing I don't like about this set. As far as I'm aware, it's like one of the few light armor sets, like good proc sets. I mean, that kind of, it makes me sad, because I'd love to have like a good proc set that comes in Arcane naturally, just because it'd be easy to get on a bunch of characters who use Magicka. You know, there's so many stamina, like medium armor proc sets out there. I just wanted something that's like light armor, and yeah, like you don't have to transmute or reconstruct shit to get Arcane Jury. But yeah, the biggest problem, like you can't really use this in Trials very well or Dungeons, because the tanks want to pull all the targets in, and they use things like the Vadashon Sword and Board, or they use chains and stuff like that. If the stun from this set hits those targets, they can't do that. So you directly fuck over your support roles in Dungeons by using this set, and that's why I don't use it. I would love if they made something like this that uses light armor, that just gives you a proc set that like this that doesn't stun a target, just deals a bunch of damage. Because I'm sick of so, like, I get it. Like there's so many good medium sets, and you know it's not that much effort to just reconstruct them or retrait them or whatever. But I just wish that you could naturally get another good proc set with light armor. I just wish that. Well, Arcane. But yeah, this set's pretty good. It's just a stun. I hate the stun. Night Terror. Basically, quit hitting yourself, except it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Now, the biggest problem with this is like, okay, firstly, it's melee damage. So if you're getting hit by enemies from range, usually those are going to be the weaker people, or like the people with less armor. You can do so much more damage than 1,000 a second by slotting like so many other sets for PvE. And in PvP, you have Battle Spirit. So Battle Spirit, if you're not familiar, reduces the damage that you take by half. So that means Night Terror is doing half of the damage that it normally would. So it would deal 500 damage. And then you have to factor in resistances. Most enemies in PvP are going to have around 30,000 resistances. So it's at least, I would say, by average, maybe 40% damage reduction. So it's going down to 500 damage, and now it's going down to maybe 300 damage. 300 damage a second, that is not going to kill anyone. So yeah, I wouldn't really rely on this. That being said, reducing the radius you can be detected, that is actually fucking awesome. So this is one of the few sets that the 3-piece is actually more useful to you than the 5-piece. If they swap those around, like the 5, yeah, it would be a better 5-piece than the fucking it is currently. The only problem is buying gold jewelry for this. The radius isn't reduced. Like if I can't really find one right now, but at the end of the video, just before I go, if the quality affects that, but I'm pretty sure the quality doesn't. Like it'll still be, even at green or white quality, I don't think you can actually get white quality for this, but it should still be 2 meters or 10%. I'm pretty sure that'll stay the same. And for that, don't buy the jewelry for it. It's not worth it. But that 3-piece is actually awesome. Would have been good for the pickpocketing the other day. Tormentor. So if you don't want to taunt normally with skills, if you want to waste a whole fucking 5-piece just to be able to taunt, you can get this if you want. The only time I would consider this to be worth and like niche is if you use a gap closer that has like it hits multiple targets. For example, if you get the critical charge morph Stampede that has an AoE on the floor, I can't confirm this, but because this is a gap close, this might be an AoE taunt, which is not really something you see a lot in this game. And pulls as well. So I think if you use things like Dark Convergence or the Vadashon Sword and Board, I believe it taunts them. That being said, it's kind of silly that that's still a thing, because pulls do that anyway. So, like, pulls as in, like, for example, the chain skill for Dragon Knights, that's a pull. But if you read it, if you read Fiery Grip, taunts them if they're not already taunted. So it does that anyway. So it's only really valuable for those kinds of pulls. Yeah, it's kind of weird that they still have that. But yeah, Tormentor's interesting. Not great, but interesting at least. We already talked about Night Terror. Shadow Dancer. This, I don't really see much usage for this, just because is 1 second after, and then a cooldown of fucking 7 seconds. That's rough. But yeah, it basically just increases how much Sneaker Invisibility can like dodge attacks for. But yeah, I wouldn't really use this. An extra second isn't going to do much for you. I don't know. You might avoid like a Grim Focus proc or something like that. But just remember, it doesn't work for like AoE skills, and that's probably going to be most of the issue for you anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't use this myself. But again, it's interesting. One more interesting thing, sorry, I forgot to mention with Tormentor. It's not important, but the quest reward you get for completing Vanished Souls 1 is called Blessing of the Keepers of the Tormentor. It's like one of the most ridiculous names I've ever seen. Because it didn't used to be called that. They just added what sets all the items are later on. So yeah, it was originally Blessing of the Keepers, but then they turned it into Blessing of the Keepers of the Tormentor. It's just ridiculous. And then Varnus. Read the full set name to yourself and laugh. Again, I talked about this last weekend. My opinion still stands. There's not much need for this. Major Mending is a really good buff, but there are other methods for getting this. Like, you can get it from a skill. For example, Dragon Knights, again. You can get this from Earthen Heart with the Obsidian Shield buff. So you don't need to sacrifice a whole set for this sort of thing. You can also... Yeah, there's other things. And Restoration stuff gets it normally. And you usually don't need it for as long as you get Vanus. Again, I don't really see a point for it. Oh. Interesting. So quality does affect the cost reduction, but not much, because 9%, but the highest is 10%. Yeah, so having green quality just reduces it by 1%. That is not relevant at all. Yeah, my advice is just get like jewelry much cheaper here. It's no different. And then Varnus, yeah, so blue quality, the Major Mending buff doesn't change, so don't buy the jewelry for it. Even if you want to use it, just, yeah, again, buy some cheap-ass blue or green quality jewelry from the store. Just do that instead. It's not worth the effort, I think. Alright, if you got any insights to add to all the stuff from the Gone Vendor, please let me know. I'm interested if you got any interesting stories. But yeah, if you got any questions other than that, just let me know in the comments. I'll usually answer you so long as I'm conscious. You know how it is. Alright, daily's done. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for your support as always. I'll see you next time. Take care for now.